Hand in hand we walk each day. Chewy's here, Chewy's here, Chewy. Okay, so gi versus no gi.
Oh boy.
I don't care which one's better.
No gi.
I already know
which one's better.
That no gi is better.
I like no gi more.
Do you really?
I do.
Oh, that makes me like you.
I mean, I fucking wrestled first, so like, I mean, you know, it feels more natural. But I mean, I do both.
I very rarely train. Here's what I want to know: are there actually like real? I know there's differences in the two, but are there real things in the gi? Like you can only learn this in the gi. If you don't ever train in the gi, you'll never have this for train. Even though you'll roll no gi, you'll be good, but you won't have this skill.
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, as far as skill, I don't know, but I think obviously there's certain moves,
or maybe even a particular understanding or an idea. Like, I think one that I can think of is like posture.
Yeah.
So you're gonna eventually learn how to posture in no gi and posture well.
Sure.
But having that collar right there, you have to learn to posture right away and much more effectively early than maybe a guy who's just getting people grabbing at his head or pulling on his arms to break his posture.
I'll say this. So, I mean, obviously there's gi specific moves that just will not work in no gi. There's no way around. Like if you become like a lapel person, I mean, you know, the minute you take the gi off, like a chunk of your game's gone. So, you know that. But I would say in my experience, like when I wrestled and then got into jiu-jitsu, the thing the gi did give me was it got me to slow down faster. Because like I used to be so spazzy in no gi, like even when I was brand new, I'd get sweaty and I could slide out of stuff and I'd be all over the place. But then I'd have, you know, we'd put the gi on, you'd go up against a 140-pound dude who'd have handles all over you, and he could take his time and just beat the brakes off you. And so then I had to like start to like, okay, I got to take more time, set up my frame, and I got to be I got a lot more careful because, you know, in the gi, I don't get this, you know, I'm getting sweaty, but they've got handles everywhere, and anything becomes a weapon.
So much more friction too.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got to be much more cautious with that. So that was one thing where when I was in the gi, it slowed me down faster, and I had to be more intent or be more conscious of everything because there's handles everywhere from my neck down to my body where I can just everything, right? So that was something that was useful from it. Again, I don't know that I'm sure you could do this in the gi, but for me, I noticed that when I was doing the gi, it happened more because in the no gi, I would slip and slide and spaz out, and I could get away with it a little bit more. Whereas in the gi, I would just all the time being grabbed. The other thing though is that, and this is where I think a lot of guys that only do gi, it's a bad idea because one of the things I really like about no gi, and why I encourage all my students to do it, even if they're a gi player, is you've got to learn how to use just your body to apply all the pressure, all the grips. Everything has to be just your body. Now, the benefit of that is when you go over to the gi, is if you know how to use your whole body, like actively, because when you're in, like, say for instance in side control, if you know how to actively put your body on them and really sort of create pressure there, well, then when you add the grip on, boom, boom, you've got your body plus these grips where you're making it even worse. And you'll get those guys that are like $150 who feel like they're like $350, you know, because they know both how to do it with their body, but also how to utilize the grips. And so I think, you know, whether you're a gi or no gi person, I think it's interesting to try both, you know, just see what you get out of it, you know.
Well, hold on, let me ask you though, like, do you find like training in the gi, do you find that that's an issue? Like people ask, because even in no gi, people are asking about rank. Yeah, for sure. Especially if they've been around.
Like if they're curious about, like, you know, because if they know that rank exists, everybody's curious about, like, well, how do I get it, or how long is it going to take me, or am I ready, or whatever, you know. So,
do you find it causes people to have like anxiety that they shouldn't have about their training?
I think sometimes, I think that one is if, you know, we both know this, if you're sort of obsessed with the belt, looking at that thing, like, how do I get that rank? It's going to be a bad time for you, because especially, like, for instance, like guys going from white to blue belt, if the blue belt is what you're chasing after, you're going to get that blue belt, and then realize, okay, I'm a blue belt now, but I still, nothing really happens. You know, because you're getting better so gradually, right? We even talked about getting to black belt. I'm a black belt now.
Yeah.
Okay, now what?
Now what do I do?
Right, what? But, you know, so that, but the other thing, I guess, is that sometimes people, when you'll see something where if someone rolls with a higher belt, they instantly go in. I remember I had a student years ago, he was a blue belt, new blue belt, and he rolled with this brown belt, and there was no gi, and I knew the guy was a brown belt. I didn't tell him he was a brown belt. I just let him roll with him, and he gave him a really good run, right? And they were going. You can tell when someone's going when they're not going.
Yeah.
He was going, and after it was over, I came up to him. I said, "That guy you were rolling, that was a brown belt," and he looked at it, he goes, "Really?" And I was like, "Yep." I did not tell you specifically because I knew the guy was going to get in his head.
I knew you were going to have that reaction right there.
Because then you're going to go into the role with, okay, is this guy letting me do something? Is he setting me up for stuff? So you see that kind of thing, but then you also see where people do get some anxiety where, like when they get promoted to rank, I don't know if this happens with guys, with you guys, but like if someone gets promoted to rank and then they step up in the line, they're wearing their purple belt or whatever, now they're, okay, I'm a purple belt. Purple belt's a big one because purple belt's like one of those ones where...
Purple belt's the one where all the weird anxieties come.
Yeah.
Like you start putting all these weird pressures on yourself that are not real.
Well, like when you were a white belt, you come in and roll with a purple belt and they're untouchable. And then you get your purple belt and now you're thinking, oh snaps, I'm
supposed to be that?
I'm supposed to be that dude. I don't feel any different, So it's that way. So I think you have some of that anxiety based upon rank.
So one of the thing that even when people are like, okay, no, I like no gi, but I think you should train in the gi too because the gi makes your defense better. And then I'll hear them say, but no gi makes your offense better. Same thing you just said. You have to learn to control the guy. So one thing that I say is, I tell my students this all the time, the hands are for basing and killing. The body is for controlling.
Okay.
But I think a lot of times if you have the like slap, bump, and I got this grip here and I got this grip, you know what I'm saying? Like I got these places, I don't have to control with my body so much anymore. I can replace that control with a new form of control. But that form of control is totally out the window for the most part when you go to no gi. So I think sometimes it can distract from what you need to actually control somebody. So I think in that regard, just exactly what you said, you need to train no gi in order to make your gi better in that regard.
I think it will help.
Yeah,
100%.
I think so too.
And the big thing is I think that people need to make their own decision.
Yeah, how about just do what's fun?
Well, you just
like, are you trying to be the world champion?
Yeah.
No, then it's pick up basketball. Enjoy yourself.
Well, like for instance, I had a guy come in one time who he had never trained before, and he told me, "Man, Chewy, I really like the classes." He was going to our no-gi classes. Loved them. He said, "Man, I'm having a blast. I just want to let you know, I'm not going to do the gi." He said that he'd watched a video online and the guy told him that the gi was useless or whatever, this and that. So he said, "I'm just not going to do the gi." I'm like, "Okay, fine, man. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to tell you what you got to do because this is your own path." So he does it, and then one day he rolls in and he ends up just coming to a gi class because of conflict with his schedule. Comes in and give him a spare gi. He gets done with class. He's like, "That's kind of fun." I think I might do that again. And then he started doing the gi more. And then I've had this happen where the guys won't do the gi, and then they'll do no gi, and then they get really into the no gi because they're like, "Man, my game is so dependent on these damn grips. Like, I gotta do this more."
I got waxed.
Yeah. So I've always been kind of just an equal opportunity roller. I'll just do whatever I can do. It's like I'll just train because back then we didn't really have the choice. We had my gym now we run half and half. Yeah. So half the week's gi, half the week's no gi. Because it's like your body type is going to be different than mine. The way you move is going to be different. Your flexibility, your strength, whatever, all that's going to be different. So my job as a coach is to give you some things and then let you go your own way.
Yeah, fly little bird.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to give you what you need to start. And then as, basically I think of coaches as guides. We take people and it's almost like we go into the forest, right? And so I'm going to guide you on the path I've followed. And I know at some point you're going to have to go your own way and go through the forest in your own and you find your own path. But I'm going to show you mine. And then you use the things that I'm showing you, and then you go your own direction.
Do you think there's a big difference between a coach and a teacher? Or do you think it's really the same role?
I don't know. I've never thought about it. I consider myself a coach. Maybe if I was thinking about the word teacher, to me, a teacher is to teach, right? And teaching something, like educating, stuff like that. And I don't feel like that's necessarily what I do. I do that, yes, but there's also a lot of like you said, there's a lot of other offside sort of mentorship that goes in with that, where you're guiding people through a lot of other stuff, not just teaching them information. Yeah. It's not like a classroom where I'm just teaching, "All right, guys, I'm out, deuces," or get out of here. There's a lot of stuff that goes on beyond that, but I guess you could probably call them the same thing at some point. I don't know.
I feel like, for me, I do really well with the teaching part.
Yeah.
And then, when it comes to being a sports coach, those are the parts where I'm still growing, growing and learning how to teach people to win or how to whatever it is, how to build strategy and all that kind of stuff. Those are not my strong points for sure. But when it comes to understanding of jiu-jitsu jiu-jitsu or the mechanics, or I mean, obviously strategy to some point.
Yeah.
I just don't have like a world championship strategy.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, those are some. I guess I don't know why I even asked that. I just you said you considered yourself a coach, and I just thought, oh, I definitely, because I always separate those two words. I definitely consider myself a struggling, growing coach, but I think I'm a fine teacher.
Okay.
You know.
I think the thing that's really important, I don't care if you're a gi jiu-jitsu guy, a no-gi jiu-jitsu woman, a 10th Planet, a Gracie Baja, the line, whatever, you know, is to keep an open mind. Because you've been training since when?
2006.
I've been training since 2003, so we've got a long time within jiu-jitsu, and the game's changed so much. You know, a lot of stuff's changed. A lot of stuff like they've taken old moves and old techniques and positions and, you know, remixed them and changed them. But it's changed a lot. And I've had several coaches over the years that I knew or had who were locked. They were locked in a box. You know, I remember coming into jiu-jitsu and they were like, we don't do this because this is a low percentage move. I was told back in the day that a guillotine choke was a low percentage move, so we didn't do it. Right?
No
and then, yeah, oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, because back then everybody would just do this and straight back and people's heads would pop off. And then you're watching Marcelo like choke everybody, and Joe Stevenson, and everybody was just, they're killing everybody with him. You're like, maybe it's not, right? And so, you know, my encouragement to all of you guys is don't ever get locked into a box about what you're supposed to be doing. Keep an open mind. You know, do what you want to do. Try it out. Make your own judgment upon it. If you want to try gi, try gi. If you want to do no-gi, do no-gi. Do whatever the hell you want to do. But make your own judgment, and you find for your own sake, because like Brandon, it's talking about art.
Yeah.
Make your own art. You know, make something that's unique to you.
That's so important. You thinking of it from like a musical perspective, or like learning to sing. Like when you first decide you want to learn, or you're not even deciding, you're just growing up, you're a little kid and you start singing, you start to emulate the singers that you like. You sing the songs that you love, and you just sing them, and you're singing in the shower, and you're trying to sound like that person that you're sounding. And eventually you move on and you start to learn about a different kind of music. And now when I learn to sing like this part, well, eventually I start stacking up my influences, and my own voice starts to develop out of that as my skill grows. And again, it's the same skill as jiu-jitsu. Something that Amir Alam, he's a black belt under Eddie Bravo, and I was a bunch of, you know, I was a blue belt or a purple belt or something on the forums, the 10th Planet forums, and then here goes some people talking trash, and somebody from 10th Planet is arguing from somebody outside of 10th Planet, and the 10th Planet guy goes, that's not how we play the half guard. We play the lockdown. And then here comes Amir, he swoops in with black belt wisdom, and he goes, the lockdown is not the 10th Planet gospel, and open mind is the 10th Planet gospel. And that I've treated that almost like a guiding philosophy for my school. You know, and I just find that to be so important. None of my students look the same. You were talking about that earlier, that you see that as a sign of a bad school, if they all feel the same. None of my black belts feel the same. We have different things that we're excited about, but I think that there's a couple of principles that if we could just find ways to express these truths here with our grappling, we may go different directions, but those truths will always be true. If it's true in situation A, it's true in situation Z, that means it's always true across the board. I can lean on that truth even if I find myself in an unfamiliar position. So yeah, I think an open mind is not just an important thing, it might be the most important thing. It might be the 10th Planet gospel.
My name's Chewy. Hey, how you guys doing? I'm so glad to be here.
Make sure you put that in there. Make sure this is in my outro.
I'm so happy to be down here in Alabama.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Chewy, my favorite bearded grappler. Don't tell Johnny Buck I said that. But he is kind of like Johnny Buck light, though. Or is he Chewy light? Maybe.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm actually lighter weight-wise.
So you're a Johnny Buck light.
I'm Johnny Buck light, but I don't want to be Johnny Buck. I want to be Chewy.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with...
Make sure you slide over to his channel and check out the second part of this video. We'll talk about, this is the #1 and most important jiu-jitsu guy on the YouTubers. Like, he's #1.
America's favorite jiu-jitsu YouTuber, Chewjitsu.
You're my favorite jiu-jitsu YouTuber. Hold me.